Okay, welcome back everyone to Survive and Thrive. I'm Gina Ferris, and here with me today I have Veronica Baltel and Tia Guest. Today's topic is part one of a two-part marketing series. We'll be looking at how to craft messages that will resonate with potential clients in the time of crisis today. And then next week, we'll look at specific marketing projects that we'll use to deliver these messages. With all of that in mind, I'm going to pass things over to Veronica so we can go ahead and get started.
Thank you, Gina. And yeah, I just want to echo that, and I loved Anna's response to that. Yay for us! Yes, yay for us. Yeah, we're really excited to be back with you today, and I'll tell you, after looking through the chat pod threads from Tuesday and the Facebook posts and all of your questionnaire answers, it was really challenging to decide on today's topic, to decide on the order to tackle all of this in. And I found myself, sort of took me back a couple decades or more into my days as a baby dog trainer, and the first time I was getting ready to teach, basic manners and puppy classes, and was feeling, so stressed about figuring out what order to teach everything in, right? You're thinking about like all the things you want to teach, and like what do you do in the first couple of sessions, and what do you wait on, and everything was so important. You just wanted to front load everything, and which is part of why we're doing the 2 sessions a week for this first couple of weeks. And in our one-on-one consulting work with our business clients, most of the time we would work on the services first. Let's make sure we really nail down what these look like and how they're going to work, and then we turn toward marketing them. But occasionally we make an exception. When we're working with the client, for example, who has really pressing financial needs, we might dive into marketing first, because we know it takes some time to get it up and running, and we know that it takes some time to work. And so we may do that first, and then, while that's in play, turn around and say, okay, let's get ready. What are we doing when the clients come? That's what we decided to do here, is to take a couple of sessions to focus on marketing, and then we'll turn our attention to the services themselves. So that's why we decided to do that. I also just wanted to let you know that we're going to structure things a little bit differently today than we did on Tuesday. So on Tuesday, we did sort of a shorter presentation, and then more discussion, brainstorming, group coaching time. Today, we're actually going to intersperse the two together. It just seemed that the content we wanted to share today was better suited for that structure. So we're going to try that out. So with that said, it is time for us to go ahead and jump in. We're going to talk about, as Gina said, marketing messages today. On Tuesday, we'll talk about marketing projects. As we get into this conversation about marketing messages, I just want to, just a real quick reminder about our 3 overarching goals for the program, and the goals that we want you to keep front of mind as you think about your own marketing messages and approach here. And that is the revenue to see us through this moment, emerging stronger than ever on the backside of this, and always keeping in front of us our primary motivation, which is serving dogs and their people. So just a quick reminder of that context that we set for ourselves on Tuesday. Then as we turn our attention to marketing, if you're familiar with us, these things on the screen won't surprise you at all. And the reality is that the basic principles of good marketing are the same as they were before this. And a lot of this doesn't change. The emphasis on sharing really valuable content, we're going to focus on that on Tuesday. The focus on relationship building, not between the dog and the client and the dog. That's sort of the goal of your service itself, but in marketing, the focus on relationship building with clients and potential clients and referral sources and that sort of thing. And then the importance of communicating the benefits and outcomes. Why should people interact with you in the first place? It's not just that you're going to teach a dog to sit, or that you're going to stop a dog from growling at other dogs. What are the life benefits that come with accomplishing these things? How are you going to make lives better? These things aren't going to change, but when we are marketing in a moment like this, what we're really looking at doing is saying, okay, all of the things that we already know work, what of that can we pull into this moment? that we can adapt to the now to help ourselves be successful now. And then we're also, as we're working in this moment, we're thinking about, again, the future, right? And making sure that everything we do now serves us in this moment, but also post-crisis as well. And so just kind of remembering that we're going to be very focused in the moment, but we're straddling bringing the good from the past and making sure we're setting ourselves up for the next moment as well. And so with all of that in mind, turning our attention to the specific topic of getting our marketing message right for this moment. You know, many of the old rules around effective dog training marketing messages still apply here. The empathy piece, the piece about saying to clients, essentially, I see you, I hear you, I understand what you're, I understand what you're going through, I understand what you're experiencing. And then the benefits and outcomes piece, that piece about helping people to understand how life is going to change, how it's going to be better from having worked with you. That is still key to getting a marketing message right. But the context for this has changed right now, right? We're in a different context at the moment. And so when we're thinking about that context, we need to be thinking about, if we're going to hit the right tone and be relevant for this moment, we have to understand what clients and potential clients need. And they need a lot of the same things they've always needed, right? They need puppy raising support, and they need support incorporating a new adult dog family member into the household. We know that a lot of people are out getting puppies and dogs right now, for better or worse. So, a lot of the same things apply, and there are a lot of the behavioral issues that people were struggling with before, they're probably still struggling with now. Some may have changed a bit, but, a lot of that stuff's still intact. But we have to also identify the really pressing needs of the new current reality of being home 24/7 with dogs and learning new things about dogs that maybe we didn't know, like, hey, I didn't realize this dog barked all day long because I wasn't always here to hear it. Or the new behavioral issues that are arising because of some dogs may feel very overstimulated having the family around all day, every day. Or they may be showing new behavioral issues from lack of regular exercise, or lack of a regular routine, etc. So being ready to speak to those things too. And then a third thing, which is about connecting, really connecting with people. I mean, again, this relationship piece has always been important, but at this time when we're all sequestered away from each other, also thinking about speaking to notions of connecting and taking a break from some of the stress. And we're going to talk about all of this in a moment. The fear that you may have about looking bad or seeming like you're taking advantage marketing in time like this, or seeming insensitive, that's not going to happen if you approach your work and your messaging with thought, with this kind of empathy and awareness. So with all of that in mind, what I'd like to do is take a moment now to step us through the themes that we're used to using, some of the marketing message themes and ideas and approaches that we've been teaching for a long time, and that my guess is you're probably going to see some of these reflected, and some of these are going to resonate for you. One of the messages we've used a lot very successfully in our industry is this message that the client's busy, and especially if that the client's busy, and especially if you're doing, day training and board and train and that sort of thing. This has probably been something that you really focused on. Some of the subsets of this are the notion of we'll do it for you, we'll make it easy. And even if you weren't day training, those notions still, of ease and convenience. I'm going to come to your home for your convenience, or we've got small classes so that you get lots of individualized attention. We're going to make this, we're going to make this easy for you. So this idea that people are just, they've got careers and family and errands they're running and commute times and all that sort of thing. This is something that a lot of you have probably been utilizing in some of your marketing. And then the lifestyle outcomes, the bit about results that is about making life easier, things you'll be able to do now that you weren't able to do, things you'll be able to enjoy that you weren't able to enjoy before. On a broad stroke, this is kind of the enjoy your well-behaved dog messaging, right? And then a lot of times, some of you may have dug down a little bit into this, into sort of specific versions of this, like a dog you can take anywhere, you know? And that sort of thing. So that's been another real common theme, is just what is going to be better, easier, more possible in my life as a result of working with you. Another aspect of results are the relief aspects bit. This is the emotional piece, the emotional part of the messaging. Relief from things like embarrassment, frustration, worry, and fear. You think about those of you who do things like leash reactivity work, probably worked on this, you know, this notion of, you know, not being embarrassed anymore about the dog's behavior. Or you know, relief from the worry and fear of a dog who's, you know, aggressive towards kids in the family or towards strangers out in the neighborhood, etc. And so, you know, the idea that we're going to make this better, right? You know, we can make life easier, we can make life better, and you're probably going to still see some of that, but it's going to shift a bit. We'll look at that in a moment, and then along kind of with the relief bit is this peace of mind. And a lot of you may be using messaging in this category as kind of like a secondary message, touting, for example, your expertise, your credentials, or your lengthy experience, talking about the power of positive methodology. And the results that you can get from there. And then also kind of along with this is this sort of notion, some of you may be using themes around training being fun or enjoyable. You may be connecting that to positive methodology. You may be connecting that to the way that you conduct your classes or the kind of content that's in your classes, things like that. So these are some of the most common kind of marketing themes that have worked for us, you know, in our previous, you know, existence here that we've been using for a long time. And I just want to stop and make sure that we say to really focus on with all of this, there's been one really overarching point that's been so critical, which is to say we can help. that you know, whatever other messaging you're using has been this, I can help, I can make it better. You know, whether it's, you know, bringing the relief or the lifestyle pieces, or, you know, taking one, you know, thing off of someone's busy plate, that you can help. And this message does not change now. This still needs to be front and center and overarching, but some of the way that we communicate it is going to change. The specific empathy messages around that, I'm going to talk about that in a moment, but what I really want to say here too is that this has always been about connection. This has always been about empathy, connection, relationship, and again, the relationship between you and the client, not the client and the dog. But I think this is something that we need to emphasize even more. We are in this together. This is a time to really show compassion. This is a time to say, hey, you know, I understand what you're going through. We're in this together. Let me try to make things a little easier. I'd like to make things just a little bit easier in this moment for you. And so that's just something to keep in mind, that that's still going to be front and center for us. With that in mind, let's turn to some message themes for this moment. So in the past, we talked to clients about how busy they were. And some of them still are, and some of them aren't, right? So you know, kind of a little bit of both. Some of them are still really busy. You know, fighting traffic to and from work. This is different. Now we're going to shift, we're going to pivot about the stress and overwhelm we're all feeling, right? You're stressed, you're overwhelmed, you're trying to adjust to this new, you know, this new life we're all living. And this is really where we have an opportunity to stress this bit of, we're all in this together. Let us guide you through. Now, you may not, for example, as a day trainer, be able to go in there and train the dog in this moment, but you can still provide that step-by-step guidance and support. And we can still talk about this being easy, that we're there to help, that we're going to make it as easy for them as possible to see results. And this is also a place where we're going to want to talk about, we're going to want to connect that easiness also to the technology bit, the fear that people have about trying virtual services, that no, this, I've got you on that. That part's going to be easy. We're going to get this work done. So we're shifting that messaging a little bit. We're still going to have lifestyle outcome and results messaging, but this is probably going to shift a little bit too. The overarching bit about, wanting to enjoy a well-behaved dog, certainly that's still true, but the context in which we're enjoying that might be a little bit different. So, enjoying living with a dog who's not climbing the walls, a dog who can settle calmly while you, attend Zoom meetings or help the kids with their homework. The kinds of pictures that we paint for people about what's possible are going to shift a little bit because of the current situation that we're in. And then when we look at the relief and results piece, so the results piece that are connected to those more emotional pieces of relief, you're still going to have a lot of that same stuff, but it's also probably going to shift a little bit too. So you're still talking about alleviating, lightening the frustration and the worry and the fear, and some of this over some of the same sorts of situation you might have been talking about before, but we also need to incorporate some of the situations that we're living in now too. The frustration of a dog who is bouncing off the walls due to overstimulation and or under exercise and all of that sort of thing, like really speaking to how hard it is, for example, for your clients who are juggling home, kids who are at home doing school and fighting over bandwidth for that, and their husbands or spouses work, and then the the dog losing their mind too. So speaking to frustration sort of around some of those issues. Your peace of mind messages, those sort of secondary marketing messages around peace of mind, those are still at play. You're at, if you have, if you've built messaging around your expertise, your experience, positive methodology, how enjoyable the training is, you're still going to have all of that. But that last bit, that fun piece, that enjoyable piece, is going to have a new spin too in this moment. That's perhaps a little bit different, that I alluded to a little earlier. And that is this issue of connection and diversion and progress, something positive. With everyone sequestered in their own spaces, dealing with their stress, this is a moment where connection and relationship and community really, really matter, right? And you have an opportunity with your services, many of you, to provide that. And also to provide just a diversion, an opportunity to take a break from the stress and a win, to get something done, to have an opportunity to tackle an old issue that you haven't had time for before, or to come out ahead of this with a dog who's much better behaved than when you went in, giving people just a sense of something going right, of something that they have control over and can succeed at in this moment. And so this might be messaging language around things like join other dog lovers to whatever it is you're doing in your classes, for example, or connect with others who are experiencing these same kind of things and listing some of them out, or hey, take a break, have something to look forward to, once a week or a few times a week, depending on how you're arranging things. And that message of taking advantage, of making the most of the extra time with your dog at home to get something checked off that long-term to-do list. Separation anxiety is a really big, obvious example for this one. But also just, all manner of various different kinds of behavior issues, and getting foundational, pieces back into place as well. Okay, so I just want you to be thinking about opportunities to work that sort of messaging in to what you're doing too. So with all of this in mind, I want to walk you through just a couple of examples of actual marketing messages and what this looks like, just to kind of get your brain flowing a little bit. This is an example of something that would be really common before the pandemic. Enjoy walking your dog again. You're busy. career, commute, kids. It's hard enough to fit in the dog's walk without the stress and embarrassment of her lunging and barking at fellow canines. And you definitely don't have time for dog training classes or homework. Don't worry, we can help. We'll even do the training for you. Right? So that's a sort of an example of the kind of messaging some of you might have been using before. And now I want to, to sort of look at that, the structure of this of, here's, at starting out, here's that lifestyle outcome, the empathy piece. I see you, I understand, I know what you're going through. And then the bit about, making it easy, and that really strong, we can help. We're even going to do it for you. So you just sort of, the structure of that, all those different messages that play in there. Now let's look at an example, for the time that we're in. So you've got a lot on your mind. You're working from home, overseeing the kids' online schooling, keeping groceries safely stocked, and struggling to keep the family from going stir crazy. It doesn't help that the dog is bouncing off the walls too. We'd like to help. Take a break with us to connect with other frazzled dog lovers and learn fun ways to keep your dog calmly occupied while you attend Zoom meetings, help with homework, and maybe even catch a bit of much needed downtime, right? And so we're just looking at, again, the structure's not all that different. I see you, I understand what's going on. A really strong let us help message. And then you see that bit about the connection and the relationship and the community piece, you're really pulling that into play there too. And so I just wanted to give you sort of an example of this. Yours will be different depending on the kinds of services that you provide, but I just wanted to give you a sample of what some of these ideas can look like in action. Okay. Now, this is all well and good, working on pulling our marketing messages together, but one of the big themes that you've shared with us is this frustration of trying to push through the resistance that people have to trying training online. And when I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about an image for it, it really got me thinking about what it must feel like a lot of the time for dogs. And I just, this little Boston guy, I look at his face and I can just imagine his internal dialogue, come on, you stupid humans, the fire hydrant or the tree, it's right there. It's just out of reach. What are we doing? We're wasting this valuable opportunity. It's going to be so great if you just come with me. And I think, a lot of us as trainers, we're sort of having that moment as clients, current clients are saying, oh no, hey, I just want to wait and that sort of thing. And just the frustration of that, I think that because we know it can be accomplished, right? we know how we could be using this time. And I do think that there's a good chance that the passage of time may help, that as people spend more time in this situation and as they start to realize this is going to maybe be longer than we'd all initially hoped. And also if, and the longer that it does go on, the more of those new behavioral issues come up and the more they find, putting off dealing with the older behavioral issues is just becoming less and less tenable every day. I think some of this may break down a little bit on its own. But we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And in the meantime, we don't have time to wait and see, right? And so we want to get moving now. So there are some things that we can do while we wait to see if the passage of time helps us out as well. One of them is that we have to be really careful that we are being super clear on helping people to understand what it is that we're doing, what it is that we're offering to them. And some of this is about how we talk about it. Some of this is about what we call it, and making sure that people actually understand what we're talking about. So I am going to share a couple of the thoughts that we have here about this, about what to call these services. But I'd also really like to invite you to jump into the chat pod and just share some of the language that you're experimenting with. What sorts of things have you tried calling your online private and classes, and have you found people have been confused by it, or things people seem to really understand? one of the things we're thinking about while you get in there and share, one of the things that we're thinking about here is that we want to make sure that people understand that this is live, right? Making sure that people get that this is something that's going to be interactive, that it's going to be about having that direct, access to your expertise and advice and whatnot. And so when we think about some of the language around here, like virtual training and remote training and online training, one of the things I like about online training is it's just so specific. This is going to be online. And if we put live in front of that, online private dog training or online puppy classes, we're being really, really descriptive and explicit about what we're doing. Virtual is kind of interesting because I think on some level, it may indicate on-demand services where I just go in and watch it on my own, at my own pace. And so we want to make sure that unless that's what you're doing, we're not inadvertently suggesting that. We had a couple of thoughts about the word sort of remote, which is one that it could indicate more about distance training, and also a little bit of concern that it may carry a connotation of e-collar training too. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. And so, yeah, just kind of being clear about trying to be as descriptive as possible. So like Kelly was saying, yeah, live online, and yeah, we're kind of leaning in that direction as well. One thing that's I think really important that you'll want to keep in mind too, as you do this, is you have to think about search engine optimization. So if you think about how people think about dog training, right? People thinking about dog training classes, and thinking about private dog training, we still want to get that language in whatever we do here too. So, online dog training classes, live online private dog training, because they're probably still going to use some of that same terminology that they've been using before. And we also just want to make sure that we're being, again, really descriptive of what we're doing too. So some thoughts there. Okay, any other language? Yeah, Stephanie was saying that remote sounds kind of like distance training to her too. Yeah, okay. Okay, super. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing is that in addition to what you're calling it, we also have to make sure that people understand how it works. You have to describe the process, right? We wanted to do that in the past, but we really need to be explicit about it now. Sort of a, step 1, step 2, step 3. Here's how it's going to play out, and also this is a place too, I think, where you're really trying to get that easy message in. All you need is an internet connection, a smartphone, tablet, or laptop, and the ability to click once, and we're going to be connected together and be able to get off and running and making life easier for you and your dog, right? So just really being kind of explicit about that. If you can include video clips, short video clips of the process in action, either with client's permission, or if you haven't started doing it yet, you can also think about doing a practice session with a family member or a friend, so you can get a little bit of video clip. A lot of times if people can just see it, it'll make it easier for them to give it a try. And then in addition to that, looking at ways to offer a chance to experience it as well. So offering a free exploratory chat or free setup session, just so people can get a sense of how it works too. And Dawn brought up a point about being hesitant about Zoom. Again, anytime, and this kind of brings us, well, anytime you're anticipating that kind of a piece of resistance, you just want to speak out to it, right? That you're using all of the new safety measures that Zoom's put in place, just like we are here, for example, just kind of getting out in front of that. Okay, so then another thing to think about, in addition to helping people understand how it works, is helping them to understand the benefits and the efficacy. Most of us are used to training in person and the advantages that in-person training affords us. It's what most clients and potential clients know too, but there are benefits to virtual services that we don't get in in-person services. And we can't assume that clients know what they are, because we may not even feel entirely clear yet. You may not even be entirely clear yet what all of these are for yourself. And I think we're probably going to experience and discover more as we go along. And so I thought we'd just throw that out to you for discussion again too. Like, let's do it right now in the chat pod. Let's generate a list right now that we can all draw from. What are some of the benefits of live online private training and live online classes? And even for those of you who are using telephone where you don't have the strong internet access to telephone work too, what are some of these advantages? Jump in and share your thoughts. Yeah, you get to share the recording with clients. That's a huge one. They get to go back and look at it. I love that, Penelope. And Caroline's talking about how online classes are great for reactive dogs. Yeah, they're great for reactive dogs. They're great for shy dogs. As Gina says, all of the basic manners flunkies out there, get to come in and really enjoy, enjoy the group class process. Someone said too, the safety issues, no spread of the virus. Yep, don't have to wear a mask. Laura's talking about, getting to see the dog at a more baseline level of behavior, getting to see them in their real life environment. And then also because you're not there, right? As Victoria's saying, and it, kind of goes along with what Lori's saying there, you're not there. So you're not impacting that real baseline piece. And you also, if you're working with a shy or an aggressive dog, you don't have all of that work you have to do up front to get the dog just comfortable with you before you can start to make progress. Yeah, fewer distractions, Sundog says, absolutely. You get to work in your home, Brian says. They get to work in theirs, so there's that convenient piece as well. And Rick, adds to that, it's in the moment, it's now here. Yeah, love that. Tansy says too that, and we're going to talk about this in more detail when we start really looking at sort of the structure of private training services online. But Tansy has a great point, which you have the option of shorter sessions because you don't have to travel, and that can be a real nice convenience piece for clients. You also have the option of of more sessions per week because you don't have all the travel and there's not as much work that the client has to do to get ready for it. Jessica second the no travel, and Ashley too, no commute, more lessons in a day. That's right. Yeah, just efficient, exactly, as Jan says. See, yeah, Shelley's talking about not having to drag the dog and the kids out of the house in bad weather and just get right back to what you were doing. Yeah, there's just a lot less disruption for them too. Man, yeah, just all these fantastic, absolutely fantastic points here. You can train in your PJs. I love it, Karen. Yes, you certainly can. Tia said that a few people have shared that their clients' mechanical skills are improving, maybe because they don't have the stress of an audience possible. Yeah, I love that. I love that. And again, the recordings, yes, fantastic. Can reach puppy clients even earlier, don't have to worry about vaccine issues at all. That's a great point, Bounty. Love that. Seeing the dog in their actual real element. Yes. Carolyn says that you can even bring your favorite cocktail that's fully licensed. I love it. Easier to get more family members involved, Kish says. Yeah. So, I mean, this list just goes on and on. There's so many advantages here. And this is something that we really want to actively share with clients because they may not be thinking about these. They're focused on what they're used to having things be. And so this is just really valuable, to kind of be drawing from this sort of a list and sharing these benefits, with clients. Okay, so the next thing that I want to take a look at is just a brief moment on websites. Not knowing how long we'll be unable to work in person is challenging to know, how much effort and cost to put into adjusting your website. So here we are talking about adjusting our marketing messages. Your website is your most important marketing and sales tool. What are we going to do about that, right? We have to do something, but how much? One option is to go in and completely rework your entire website. That's not going to be feasible for a lot of you. And there's also, again, that sort of like, oh gosh, should we go through all that effort? How long are we going to be in this moment? We just don't know. One option is to rework your home and service pages to reflect your current services and current messaging. Another option that might be a little bit simpler and have less impact on you is to make more temporary adjustments. So you can, for example, change some of the messaging on your home page, leave a lot of your service pages intact, but add a message on them to redirect people to the information you want them to know about the new services. Kelly suggests you can hide some pages. That's true. Marion says you can even create a sort of a different landing page. And I'm gonna show you sort of an example of this kind of temporary adjustment idea, just one iteration of it in just a moment. And which you do is going to depend on several things. Like how much you do is going to depend. I mean, partly how big of a website do you have? What is your budget for making adjustments? How much adjusting can you do on your own versus needing to to bring your webmaster in? And also a big consideration here is going to be whether you're launching services that you intend to continue with after the pandemic, or whether this is something that's going to be more fully temporary for you. So those are some things to think about as well. Jessica suggested, she's got a pop-up banner. I love that. And I'm going to show you an example sort of similar to that now. And this isn't a pop-up banner specifically, but what we did here, and many thanks to Kelly Fahey for allowing us to share this with you. Kelly was building this website, this beautiful new website, and was literally just about to push go. Like the webmaster was just about to take this site live when all of this kind of came crashing down around us. As we had a lot of conversation about, oh my God, do we go all the way back to the drawing board? What do we do? And so what we did instead was we put big notes on the home page and on each of the services pages, and those could be a pop-up or they can just be a static banner like we did here, redirecting people. So this is an example. This is the private puppy training page. And so there's this big orange strip right underneath the main banner. Please note, at this time, all private puppy training sessions are being conducted via easy live video training. They're fun and easy, no tech savvy required. So we're just going to hit that point right up front. They're going to be easy, they're going to be fun, and no, you don't have to be super tech savvy, and we just anticipate that concern. Click here to learn more about our virtual training. And then that click takes us to a new page, which is all about the online training. And it's all about all of the benefits and how it works. And so there's a category of benefit that's about safety, honoring social distance, and training from the comfort of your own home. A lot about training goals and experience. You're going to get the same expertise and coaching as you always would have. You're also receiving guided step-by-step support, ability to watch us demo with our own dogs, which some of you won't have that, but she does, and so she included it. Receiving feedback, and then she also sort of included, look, we were always training you anyway. And then this bit at the bottom, which is just so powerful. You've got this, and we've got you, right? This is that piece about that relationship building, about that empathy piece, about we're here for you, we can help, right? That really powerful piece there. And then as we scroll further down this page, a couple of other themes of advantage and power and efficacy, how this works. So a lot of the convenient stuff you guys were talking about, the flexible scheduling and no need to travel to class or to the training center. And then speaking of the pajamas comment earlier, a little humor in here. You can wear your pajamas if you want. We won't judge, right? And again, that's just that personal piece, that relationship building piece. That we get this. This is a stressful time, and some of us aren't getting out of our pajamas every day. And that's cool. It's not a problem. Another hit on the tech savvy bit. You don't have to be. That's going to be easy. And then this big bonus of you're going to get to see it. You review it all. We'll have the video for you. You can go back and look at it again. And then the results part, just as successful as in-person sessions. Puppies aren't going to miss out on socialization. Your dog's not going to regress, and just kind of wrapping up with this well-mannered four-legged family member. So this is just sort of one example of being able to make adjustments to your website without having to change everything. And I also just wanted to show you an example of someone really speaking to the power of these services. And And so that's something that can be, I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of inspiration. Again, thanks to Kelly Fahey for letting us share that. Okay, now one of the things though is we've got all this marketing message, and that's all great, and you're putting all that together and you're adjusting your website. But one of the other themes that really came out that you've been sharing with us that we wanted to make sure that we hit today too is the frustration of having trouble getting current clients on board. That a lot of clients are wanting to just kind of put their training on hold, and we'll get back to it after this is over. And again, I do think that time's going to help you with this. But I think that too, that there are some things that we can do to help kind of encourage, push your clients along a bit too, and your students too. One is just anticipating and preempting the sticking points, right? And that was a lot of what Kelly was doing really brilliantly on that page, is thinking about, what are the points of resistance? Why are people likely, to wait on this? And then saying, okay, let's get out in front of that. And so you guys have already been talking a little bit about that in the chat pod, but I'd invite you just to jump in there and continue. What are some of the things that people have been pushing back on? What are some of the things that that people have been using as an excuse to say, no, I want to put this on hold? And what counter arguments do you have? What things have you tried? What new ideas that you have? Yeah, so money is going to be an issue. We're going to talk more about that on Tuesday, about things that you can also do for people who truly don't have it. But one thing you can do for people who who haven't lost their income but are just a little bit worried, about being a little more careful about how they spend it, is one thing you can do is invite them to try it first. And we're going to talk about that a bit in a moment too. Folks who are just really kind of nervous about the tech stuff, a great opportunity, again, tell them how easy it's actually really going to be. It's a step 1, 2, 3 sort of thing. And again, it's another good time to to give them an opportunity to try it out as well. Internet connection issues, you're probably looking at, you may be looking at doing phone consults instead. Tammy's got a really interesting one. Her clients want to work with the distractions, which is really interesting. So you got to tell them how much more ready they're going to be to handle the distractions when they have the luxury of working first without it. They're going to be able to come in there and really be head and shoulder past where they were, because they've had the opportunity to really nail the foundation work in a way they haven't had before. And again, Jessica was thinking her clients didn't think it was like a fair trade-off, that in-person was going to be better than remote. And so again, that's part of why we generate this list, to say that, actually, this sort of online training carries a whole lot of advantages that we didn't have when we were doing in person. And let me show you. Yeah, a lot of people are struggling working at home and homeschooling the kids and all the distractions around the household. Talk to your clients about how we can incorporate that, how we can actually make that work for them. We had a really interesting discussion in one of the sections earlier about people who are experimenting with services that more directly involve the kids. And one person's even experimenting with classes for teenagers, for example, of having, so that the parents can get the teenager and the dog out of their hair for an hour. Obviously that won't work as well with the little kids. The parents will still have to be there too. But again, that kind of comes back to not only can we get dog training progress made, but we also have this opportunity to take a break in the day and do something really positive and have something to look forward to, and have put a little structure into the day as well. Jeannie says a lot of her folks coming to the class for social interaction. Show them that that's still going to be part of this process. We'll talk about that when we start really looking at classes in more detail too. Yeah, and Vinny talking about just really showing them how easy it is with demos and things like that as well. And, yeah, Susan says they need the socialization. That's right, they really do. And for some people, that's going to be, the resistance is, well, I don't want to go to puppy class because I really want the puppies to be able to, do the play socialization. They're thinking about that in this really narrow framework. And part of what you're going to say is, wow, first of all, the dangers of waiting on socialization altogether, but also just pointing out to people too that there's so much more to socialization than just the play, and to to come and see all of the amazing fun things that we can do together in this context. And again, any video you can show, specific examples, things like that are going to really help too. Let's see, what am I missing in the scroll here, Gina?
Veronica, I think Ashley was making a really good point. She says that she's reaching out frequently for her clients just to say, I'm still here, I'm available when you're ready. Because just remembering that people are going to be ready to hear your marketing message at different times. And I know some of you are that frustration of, oh, they're waiting. People who have been in areas where they have had shelter in place or stay at home orders longer can tell you, because we've been seeing this over and over again, that starts to go away. Hang in there. This is temporary. But I think Ashley's point, to her point of staying in contact with her clients and just reminding them that when the barking gets to be too much, I'm here, or when you've got things under control and you're ready to focus on this, that I'm here, that keeping that relationship and that communication up and going is really important.
Yeah, because, in good times, marketing takes multiple contacts. So if you've tried some things and you're getting crickets, don't be discouraged. Keep reaching out. And it doesn't always have to be with, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? Hey, let's do this. It can, as Gina said, lots of it's just about being human right now, about that relationship connection, about starting a conversation. How are you doing? How is Barney handling shelter in place? And that conversation starts, and at some point there's an opportunity to turn it to solutions. I love that. And so, thinking about all this, and just a few more little pointers for you here, as you do this, as you reach out to clients, I want you to really do it with some confidence, right? There's a difference between sort of shyly asking, well, I'm going to do this, do you want to try this? That's really different than saying, hey, you came to me with needs and goals, and I want to make sure that that you still have those needs met. And I know that you're probably experiencing a lot of new challenges now too with shelter in place. Here's how I'm going to help. Here's how we can keep going during this time. I don't want to see you lose progress. And there's so much that that can be done here. Let's try this. And if clients say they don't want to, that's okay. But we want to come in there with some real confidence to start with, so that we're not really pitching it as a yes or no question. We're pitching it as a hey, here's what I'm going to do to make sure that we keep moving forward. Another thing that you can do is just extend a personal invitation. And some of you, have already kind of anticipated this in the chat. I love it. And Gina was sort of talking about that too, about just reaching out to say hello. And there's a difference between sending an email to all clients and reaching out with that personal touch. It could be a personal email one-on-one. It could be a text. It could be a phone call. It could even be, oh my God, just sending a handwritten card. That's a special thing to get in this day and age anytime. Right now, our need for connection, that's really something else. I got a card in the mail the other day, and it was just so powerful. And yes, I opened it with gloves on, but it was just, it really made my day. So just reaching out to say to clients, I'm thinking about you, I'm here for you, and I hope you're staying safe. That's powerful just in and of itself. And then also making sure that your invitations are, are personal too, as much as you can. And then I mentioned this a moment ago, but also just giving folks a chance to try it out. People who are nervous about trying something new, who are nervous about the tech, who really aren't sure that it's going to be as useful, as powerful, just say to them, hey, let's give it a try. Let me show you how powerful this is. It could be that you invite them to just get on for 30 minutes. Or you could, for example, if you're putting an online class together, say to people, come to the first session. You don't have to pay. I want you to experience it. If you like it and you decide to take the rest of the course, then you can pay your registration, right? Just give people an opportunity to put their toe in the water at real, at no risk, so that they can just get a feel for it. Let me show you what can be, let me show you what we can do before you decide that you prefer to wait. So I think those are some ways to be helpful too. And some of you have already, this was our question, but you're already doing a great job sharing it. Yeah, what have you done to successfully convince clients to give your online services a try? And I just love some of the things that we're doing in here, and also some of the the other advantages too. Sundog's talking about clients seem to be a little bit more willing to do their homework and send in videos, whereas when they were in person, they were more resistant. I love that.
Veronica, there's a really interesting note from Tammy, and she says that she's going to send a handwritten note to vets telling them that she's still in business. So yeah, part of getting clients to give our services a try is for them to know we're still here and that we can still serve them. So nice point here, Tammy.
That's right. And we'll talk about more of that sort of thing on Tuesday too. That's wonderful. I love that. And I love the handwritten note spin on that, Tammy. I think that's so brilliant in this moment, as opposed to an email or whatnot. That's perfect. Karen's got a great suggestion, inviting current clients for an online bring a beverage and chat meeting. So basically, like just come get together. That whole come together. Try this out. Bring your favorite beverage if it's a morning thing. Bring your coffee or tea, or if it's evening. Bring your glass of wine or your beer or cocktail, whatever it is, and yeah, we'll just get used to the format, and you can just try it out so you can decide if you'd like to do. I love that. That's really fantastic. Tansy broke larger sessions down into smaller ones that people felt more comfortable squeezing in. Love it. Nick did a free check-in session that he says was really helpful. And I love this. And one person immediately left a positive review citing the virtual session on Facebook. Yes, I love it. Fantastic. Juliet early on reached out by phone individually to clients. I think that's wonderful. And she said the first 10 people, no one answered. It was really a surprise. What I love, Juliet, is that you did that second pass and got responses with some. And I think that is just so wonderful. Figuring out, and even if people didn't pick up, even if they didn't return the phone call, my guess, if the message was right, that they just appreciated hearing from someone, and maybe just too busy, it was not the right moment too early on in this, to really be able to respond. But what I love is that Juliet didn't give up, right? And she said, okay, what can I try next? And let me get back in touch again. Beautiful work. I love that. I love that.
And this is a little bit about services, but Joanna says that she has found that her kids are really quick to accept the tech and take on the tech challenge. And so she's doing more kids and dogs classes so she can sneak into the parents via that way. So that's great.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, the kids are like, no problem, Mom, Dad, I got this.
Okay, let me show you how to use this, right?
Yeah, I love it. Fantastic. Just great ideas. And so what we'll do then next on Tuesday is we'll start turning our attention to how then do we take all of these new sort of marketing message pieces and start getting them out there more widely, really focusing in on the kinds of marketing projects you can be doing these days under current circumstances. So that's really going to be our focus there. And so my challenge to you over the next few days, and don't worry, Penelope, I will not forget your secret word. I will make sure you get it. But I do appreciate the reminder, because it would be easy to forget. My challenge to you over the next few days is to step back and think about your marketing message right now. Where can you make adjustments? Kind of using the guidelines that we shared today. Where are the tweaks that are going to just make this feel a little bit more in the moment to the people that you're reaching out to? And then we want to invite you, if you haven't already, to join the Facebook group. And I really encourage you to take, and Tia's posted that link up here in the chat pod, and I really encourage you to take the work you're doing on your marketing message, take that conversation in the Facebook group, share with each other, get some good feedback that way, and we can just learn from each other's great ideas that way. And speaking of which, that brings me to the second secret word for your CEUs, which is relationships. That's relationships. And we chose that word because so much of marketing right now, as it always has been, but especially right now, is about relationships, but also because I wanted an opportunity to reinforce what Gina said at the beginning, which is just to thank you for the sharing that you're doing and to just put the R+ out there so big about that. This is a moment for the brain trust. This is a moment for all of our creativities and our collective creativity and all of these great ideas to come out here. And I just want to thank you so much for your generosity of spirit and the way that you're sharing here in the chat pods and the way that you're sharing in the Facebook group. This is how we get through this. And I just think it's an incredible thing. You know, you are what will make this program have value. And so really want to thank you for that, for the work you're putting into these relationships too. It means a lot. So next week on Tuesday, we'll be working on marketing projects, content. And then we're going to start to sort of turn our attention more toward the services themselves. But I also want to let you know about a special bonus session we're doing too. And I did mention it in yesterday's email, and we'll put a separate email out about it with all of the details. But just to be really clear, we're going to have our regular Tuesday sessions, we're going to have our regular Thursday sessions next week, and then we're also going to do a special bonus session on Friday, Tech Basics for Trainers. This is going to be 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. We're just going to do this one once. I hope it works for your time zone. If it doesn't work for yours personally, we are absolutely going to be recording it and putting it up. But this is going to be really geared toward those of you who haven't done a lot of tech stuff yet or just getting started with it. We're going to just get you through a good, real foundational primer to kind of get you off and running on that, because that was something we felt like you really couldn't wait either. So again, regular times on Tuesday, regular times for the regular bonus session on Thursday, and then a special bonus on Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. We'll get an email out to you about that. I just wanted you to have an opportunity to get it onto your calendars now.
Veronica, so you're asking about which Friday, not
Friday
tomorrow.
The 24th. Friday the 24th, next Friday, Friday the 24th.
Yeah.
So again, thank you all so much for your incredible participation. We're so glad to be doing this with you. And so between now and Tuesday, please take really good care of yourselves, stay safe and be well. And if you're participating in Facebook, we'd love to see your marketing messages up there. All right. Take care, everyone.